when you have this after case with this corner and this edge which needs to go into this slot right here, there are two main ways that you can solve this. The first way is by doing r prime, y, u prime, r, y, u, r, and doing fast look something like that. But the second way to do this same case is the exact same algorithm but sort of a different execution. So basically, after you do the r prime, instead of doing a y, u prime, you do a d prime with your left ring finger, f, d to solve this pair, and then r to fix this cross piece. So it's basically the same thing, but instead of doing a y, u, you just do a d prime move instead. And you can fast look something like that. Alright, before this video begins, I just want to really quickly wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hopefully you guys got the cubes that were on the top of your wish list this year, but right now what is on the top of my wish list is learning some more advanced F2L algorithms, so let's get straight into it. If you guys want to see parts 1 to 9 of this series, feel free to click the link in the description below. Alright, so when it comes to algorithms that can be solved with just r and y u prime, there's actually quite a lot of cases in this subset. So one of the more notable cases is this F2L case right here, which needs to go into this slot over here. So you can solve this by moving this corner over its slot and doing r prime, y, u prime, r prime, y, u, r. So you do r prime, y, u prime to pair this up, r prime, y, u to connect it to its cross piece and solve the cross with r. And doing it fast looks something like that. But once again, as I showed earlier, instead of doing y, u prime, you can actually use d layer moves. So if you want to use d layer moves for this case, it will be r prime, d prime, f prime push like so, d, r. So r prime, d prime to pair this up, f prime push, d, and then just do an r move to fix the cross. And doing it fast looks something like that. But if you have that exact same F2L case, but instead you're facing the green side and you don't want to have to do a rotation, that's another trick you can use, which is even more efficient. So you move this corner over there, you do a F prime move, and you can see that has actually padded up to a 3 move insert. So you just insert this F2L pair into the back, and then do F with your index finger, which will solve this pair. If the corner is already in the right position, this is actually only a 5 move long algorithm. Alright, so this might seem really weird, but you can actually use the same algorithm with this case right here, but instead of solving it into this slot, you can actually use it to solve in the diagonal slot over here. But the thing about this algorithm is that it requires y, u2 moves or d2 moves, so I don't really find this algorithm super worth it, but if you find that this algorithm works for you, feel free to use it in your solves. So when you have this F2L case, when you're facing the blue side, you can actually just do r prime, y, u2, r prime, y, u2, r. And then we'll solve this pair. Alternatively, you could do r prime, d2 to pair this up in the back, and then do l prime like that, d2, r, which will also solve this F2L pair. And doing it fast will look something like that. Alright, for the next F2L case, when you have this corner and this edge on the right side, there are two main ways that you can solve this. The first way is by doing f prime, which sets it up to this F2L case, r prime, u, r, and then just insert this pair either with u, r prime, u2, r, or u2, r prime, u, r. And then you just do an f to solve this cross piece. But you can also solve this with a technique called keyhole. So basically what you want to do is you want to put this corner into this slot by moving this slot over to another empty slot and then inserting the corner into here. So when you realign the cross, it will be solved. But the corner right now is stuck in this slot. So what you do is you do r, u, r prime to take this out, and then do a d prime to move this corner slot over here, insert this corner into here, and then do a d, which will solve this F2L pair. And doing it fast will look something like that. Alright, so this is the second last advanced F2L case. So it's when you have this corner in its slot and this edge in the top layer. Now I know there are many algorithms about this, but most of them involve the edge being oriented. So basically, when the edge is oriented, that means you're facing the red side from this angle. For example, when you're facing the red side and this edge is oriented, you can do wide R sexy and sledgehammer with your left hand. Or you could do F prime, then insert this, and then solve this with U prime, R prime, F, R. Another algorithm is even using keyhole, which I mentioned earlier. You just move this empty corner slot over here, and then you insert this edge, and then do a D, which will also solve this pair. But unfortunately, none of those tricks work when the edge is misoriented. For example, doing the same keyhole trick here will result in a flipped edge case. So I see three main algorithms to solve this case. The first algorithm is a really simple algorithm. You just do F prime, R prime, F prime, R, F, like so. So what you're doing is you're inserting this edge into this slot by first moving this to the side, and then moving this here with R prime, F prime, R by hiding the corner, and then just doing another F move to solve the rest. You could do it from this angle facing the green side by using your thumb and then using your index finger here and using your index finger again for this F move. To get fast will look something like that. But if you want to, you can also rotate to face the white side and just do U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U. For the next two algorithms, it's going to be the same R and white U thing I talked about earlier. So the first algorithm is just R prime, white, U prime, R prime to insert this edge here, U, and then solve this cross piece with R. Once again, R prime, white, U prime, R prime, white, U, R. And doing it fast looks something like that. But once again, you can still do that R prime, D prime trick I talked about. So you do R prime, D prime, F prime to insert this edge, D, R. And now a little bit slower, R prime, D prime with your ring finger, F prime push with your index finger, D, R. And doing it fast will look something like this. Alright, so a bunch of you might recognize this video right here, where I showed you 9 different rotationless advanced F2L algorithms to solve this F2L pair. But this F2L pair is when the edge is in the middle and the corner is on the right side. But what if the edge is in the center and the corner is on the left side instead of the right side? So right now I know 3 main algorithms for this. The first 2 I covered on videos on my second channel, MCubers2. The first algorithm is by doing F reverse sexy F prime, which pairs it up to a 3-move insert. If you start the F prime with your thumb like that, that makes the whole alg regripless. And doing it fast will look something like that. There's also another F2L alg which I just showed in my most recent video on my second channel, which is R, F, sexy, F prime, R prime. But there's also one of my algorithms for this case which I didn't show on my second channel. So that's by doing M prime reverse sexy, which is U, R, U prime, R prime, and then doing M. And that sets it up to a 3-move insert. However, you might notice that after you do the M prime and reverse sexy move, right here, instead of doing R prime and M, you can cancel it out by just doing a wide R prime, which sets it up to a 3-move insert. And doing it fast will look something like that. Alright, so that's gonna wrap it up for today's advanced F2L tricks and algorithms video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.